Yeah, g'day mates, it has been a good couple of months since we've heard anything about 83, and we finally have a new update on the game, especially in how the gameplay is supposed to play out, as well as how they're going to be modeling the game. And you know what, I'm absolutely loving it. This has to be probably the best one that they've done so far. But anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so I mentioned in one of my previous videos where they showed off the Bren gun, and I wanted to say how it would look weird in first-person view, because you know, if you've played Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, you'll know how the Owen and the F1 are just annoying to use because that top-mounted magazine is just irritating, how it just blocks off a bit of your view. But we can see here that it isn't actually too invasive, and also they did say in the past that they were going to mention this feature where you can zoom in a lot and then zoom in not so much. But we can also see here that what looks like to be some form of a suppression mechanic. And you know, this is a nice feature, even though in like Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, whenever I'm suppressed, I get a little bit frustrated because you're stuck behind cover, you're getting pelted by a machine gun, which you know is good because it actually does give machine guns a very important purpose at kind of keeping your enemies in a constant state of basically being drunk. That's what I equate it to, because your character is just so dizzy and all over the place and he can't aim straight, which I mean, I can't imagine it's too easy to shoot a gun when you're getting absolutely pelted and you don't know if one stray bullet is the one that'll be lights out, basically.
I wanted to make sure that when anybody from the dev team looked at the game we were making, they understood that this was all about evolution from before, not revolution and unpleasant surprises for the community. It was about concentrating everything down into 4 clear pillars that are reflected in everything we do. So the first one of which is authenticity, the second of which is accessible realism, teamwork first, and lastly, persistent warfare.
Okay, so these are fantastic things to stick by, in my opinion. I know that a lot of you are probably watching this, and you know, some of you might be history buffs who know how every single different AK variant is different. To me, this is an AK-47 and this is also an AK-47. But the fact, right, that they are putting realistic elements in a way that is accessible to people is what I love most, because I want to use things that are historically accurate. I want an authentic experience in terms of uniforms, vehicles, weapons, you know, characters, even location, but I don't necessarily want to be thrown into this like hyper-realistic environment where you walk for 30 minutes just to get sniped by Ivan with his Dragunov. Now with RS2, I found that they had the perfect combination, but with 83, you know, it's going to be interesting, because instead of 32v32, it's going to be 50v50, and can you imagine trying to fit 100 people into some of the RS2 maps? I mean, I don't really have to imagine, I've been on the mega server, but it will be interesting to see how they adjust the maps to maintain what I'd consider the already fantastic track record in accessible realism. Now, the one thing, right, that I am concerned about is teamwork first. Me, like, okay, when I'm on a Discord call, playing Counter-Strike competitive with my mates, that is effective teamwork, especially on a small scale. But playing a game of like squad where no one speaks, that isn't teamwork, and you'll most likely end up losing and have a very boring experience. Even sometimes when I play like RS2, I get a little salty at my teammates. I try not to project it, but we all get a little salty in video games. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm the perfect person, say, oh yeah, I never get angry in video games. Yeah, I get pretty fucking angry, so I don't really want to be 100% reliant on my teammates, because that just makes me more frustrated than actually enjoy the game. But the persistent warfare thing, just this is gonna be fucking sick, bro. This is gonna be actually so freaking cool. But we do get kind of blue-balled, but hey, you know, they're gonna actually update us on what that exactly is later on in the future. But it's good that they reiterate the fact that this is something that they want to go with.
And this is to continue to stay accurate and authentic.
Okay, so I'm gonna be absolutely honest. Whenever I see this gun, I think of the Japanese Type 96.
Which continues to be at the forefront of our minds while developing. Now, in order to uphold such...
Because now, honestly, right, in terms of weapons, out of all the weapons in the game, some people might be excited to use the Bren gun, you know, M16s, different AK variants, AK-74s, but for me, it is going to be using the surface-to-air missile launchers. Because honestly, I'm pretty sure, right, there are going to be helicopters in this game from what we've heard, but I can't wait to use, I just can't wait to use this bad boy in some helicopters. If you play on RS2's The Farming Zone, you'll know that Alpha can be a menace with the Cobra. So yeah, I want to see how tough he'll be when I'm locking onto him with this bitch every 5 seconds.
Honestly, the list goes on. And this vastly improves making sure that we can deliver and stay.
Okay, so I just want to point out that the body, there's like a body here with an exploded legs. And you know, if you're like me, who is the average gore enjoyer, not that sounds bad, but you know, who just likes gore elements in video games, because I like to have it in the game to really show the true brutalities of war. If someone dives on a grenade, I want their body to be thrown in multiple different directions with pieces and paste everywhere, right? And if they get shot, you know, by a high caliber weapon to the arm, maybe damage in that specific region, maybe have the arm get blown off or whatnot.
So engaging in a firefight is fun. Random numbers deciding whether your weapon jams or fails is not. Big intense battles, fun. Spending an hour hiking across 3 kilometers of empty countryside only to get shot from nowhere by a pixel, not so much.
Okay, now out of all the things in this video, this sentence was like music to my ears, because in the past, people were worried about how the game was basically going to be played out. Like, is it going to be like Squad or Hearts of, I wrote Hearts of Iron in the script. Hell let loose, not Hearts of Iron, in terms of size, right? And, you know, let's be honest, it can be boring. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, you know, it's okay, it's a little bit entertaining. No, some people do find these games boring, and sure, some people want this like hyper-realistic military armor simulator gameplay, whatever, but people such as myself, you know, we don't want this gigantic experience. We need a good balance between, you know, having like action, firefights, explosions, as well as not making it like ridiculously like a Battlefield game, you know? And you know, I have full hope in AMG knowing what their audience likes, and that they're not going to be making Squad but set in the Cold War. It's good to hear that they're going to be building off prior experience, which, you know, let's be honest, all of us here were interested in 83. Some of us might have come from, let's say, Project Reality, Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, Squad, Hell Let Loose, Red Orchestra 2, Rising Storm 1, but we can, you know, let's agree that AMG has a track record of knowing what the audience likes. And it's good to hear that they're going to be basing the game off prior experience.
Teamwork is a pillar of, I think, every tactical shooter. It's part of what defines the genre, and 83 is really no exception.
You know, I can see it now. Squad leaders not providing marks, not placing down spawn points, people being abusive on voice comms, no one playing the objective.
A handful of skilled players, no matter how good they are, won't be able to carry their team. It takes a whole team working together to win.
But okay, so clearly, you know, this person here has never actually met Tyrone from the farming zone. And, you know, some of you are probably wondering, you know, who is Tyrone? Well, I've said this in the past. Tyrone is basically the best Rising Storm 2 player that I've seen. There might be better out there. I genuinely fear for my life and your life if there is a better player than him. And I know that he's interested in this game. So, you know, I do believe that Tyrone will just carry us to victory.
But where some games will take a fairly heavy-handed approach to forcing teamwork, 83 won't. What we found in the past is that while skilled individuals can't win a game for you, using forced teamwork mechanics absolutely allows a bad or new player to lose a match for you.
But you know, just watch me play Squad. I am absolutely useless at that game, and I don't even know what's going on half the time. I'm clueless when I play that game. I have my teammates being super tactical, and you know, they're being like, oh yeah, there's an enemy here, do this, do that, like regroup here, and I'm like, I can't fucking keep up with this. I try my best, but then you have me shooting at a rock because I think that it's a person.
So for 83, we're trying to make it easier to coordinate with your teammates. We want to encourage it, but not force it. So we're talking things like clear signposting, sensible VoIP channels, a context-sensitive ping system, RTS-style player selection and ordering for commanders on their map, and so on. We want to make it so that teamwork is the path of least resistance and comes naturally to new players, not something that requires 100 hours of playtime, mandatory microphone, and a deep understanding of the matter.
Now, everything that is mentioned is fantastic, because in RS2, right, I mean, I used to be able to talk to my squad leaders when playing Commander, and I used to be able to clearly coordinate where I wanted marks and what I wanted squad leaders to do. You know, where I'd even ask them for advice when I was starting off as a Commander. I'm like, hey, should I drop here? Should I do this? And, you know, this was a fantastic example of teamwork in RS2. So having a functioning voice system, tripwire, is going to be good, because now in RS2, you know, you just click request you marks, and 3 out of the squad leaders will actually bother to give you marks. Not good marks, but marks, something usable. But you know, having a system to coordinate to individual squads and keep things coordinated and organized is good in theory, because it really depends on everyone functioning as a team and partaking in that style of gameplay. Because in CSGO competitive, you know, there is some form, a lot of the time, synchronized teamwork, because on a small scale, everyone is committed to functioning as a team from my experience. But when you get like a larger scale with like 50v50, I personally feel that some, yes, I am guilty of this. I'm not going to sit here and say I've never done this because I play for kills sometimes and ignore the objectives. Yes, I'm guilty of this, but some people will more or less treat this as a team deathmatch or a free-for-all. But it would be good to see if people can actually come together to be a functioning, coordinated team.
Persistent warfare is conceived to give every player the feeling that every bullet, every objective captured, every team advance, everything you do contributes to the war effort.
Now this is going to be an insane feature. Someone tell me in the comments if a game, I know that there was this game in one of my older 83 videos that got mentioned, I can't remember off the top of my head, but can someone tell me if a game has ever implemented a feature like this? Because it has me obsessing over it, especially at the thought that why would I want to play another game when I can help NATO win? Sure, Australia isn't in NATO, but look, if war actually did break out, Australia would take NATO's team, and the United Kingdom is basically the closest we're going to get to having Australia in this game. But you know, you could also probably compare this to RS2's campaign feature, but on a much bigger and, in my opinion, better scale. And I hope that this is, and I don't know the proper word for it, but a mandatory feature, like, because down in Australia, right, we don't really have we don't even have campaign servers, and you know, to an extent, I feel like we miss out on this. So, you know, I hope that this is actually a feature that will get utilized a lot and isn't sort of like some gimmicky campaign feature where, you know, a lot of the servers would just turn it off. But, you know, this is actually fantastic because, you know, RS2, one of my favorite games and probably your favorite game. And the fact that we're going to be getting something that is already great, but making it even better with new additional things makes me unbelievably happy. I'm not saying that this is Rising Storm 3 because it isn't. Okay, it's explicitly said that this isn't RS3. It's just that we're going to be getting things from RS2 that worked and are loved and enjoyed features and making them better on a much better scale, bigger scale basically, which is just fantastic in my opinion. But you know, I'm going to end today's video there. I do look forward to seeing how this game develops. I hope that it's a success, really, and I'm sure you hope so as well. But anyways, I'm going to end today's video there. I hope you guys did enjoy, because if you did, please do consider leaving a like, subscribing, sharing the video with your friends. Anyways, my name is Tantu, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.